Hello everyone, and welcome back to another season of The Committee Reads. I am your host, GojiraGuy, and today we have the lineup of Alex, Grayshot, Nagoda, Ditto, and Joe. And today we will be tackling match 112, Godzilla vs. Utsuno Ikusagami by Christian Zatkov. A satellite was hovering many miles above the Earth. Its telescopic lens was watching as a battle unlike any before was about to be fought many miles below in the heart of North America's capital that was already under siege. Utsuno Ikusagami slowly descended from the sky, observing the creature that was staring back up at him. So this was the king of the monsters, the cause of so much destruction? He recalled how the United Nations Godzilla Countermeasure Center sought his help to destroy Godzilla. Their weapons had failed them so many times in the past that they had become desperate enough to turn to a god and ask him to fight Godzilla for them. Utsuno Ikusagami landed in the middle of what was Washington, D.C. Godzilla let out a low growl at this strange being, trying to figure out what it was. It wasn't a machine or a cyborg like he was used to fighting. Utsuno Ikusagami made the first move and fired an orange-colored beam from the sun medallion on his forehead. Godzilla slid across the ground and didn't stop until Utsuno Ikusagami ceased fire. Godzilla lay there, motionless, his eyes rolled up in his head. A full minute passed.
Winner, Utsuno Ikusagami.
Yeah, right! That was the shortest KWC ever. Utsuno Ikusagami was about to declare Godzilla dead when he saw some faint fingers twitch. Did he really see that? Several more moments passed before he got his answer. Godzilla rose back up, his bones creaking, his eyes moving back into place. Godzilla snarled at Utsuno Ikusagami. His lips parted and the spines on his back flashed a bright neon blue before a stream of blue-white death was vomited out. The searing energy about Lance into Utsuno Ikusagami, who merely held his hands out in front of him. A barrier suddenly stood between the god and the death ray. Godzilla's atomic energy slid harmlessly off the barrier. Utsuno Ikusagami decided to hold it up, wanting to see how long Godzilla could discharge the energy into an attack before having to replenish his reserves. It felt like an eternity went by, but it was only 1 minute, 47 seconds. Godzilla's beam seemed like it would go on forever, but it soon grew weaker, the force lessening until it ceased. Utsuno Ikusagami made his barrier vanish and observed the monsters with mild interest. Godzilla was slightly panting, out of breath from using his beam for so long. This was the creature that had plagued the world for so long? Utsuno Ikusagami was unimpressed. Surely the mortals exaggerated the creature's power. The only reason Godzilla was still standing before him today was because of sheer dumb luck. Machines like Mechagodzilla malfunction, kaiju make mistakes just like any other animal, and even the brightest mortal can overestimate the power of things they do not fully understand. The other gods who fought Godzilla were cocky. They were so full of themselves that they toyed with Godzilla instead of killing him off outright. Today, Utsuno Ikusagami would prove that, despite common misconception, death does seek Godzilla out. Today, he would kill this so-called monster king that the mortals claimed not even the gods themselves could kill. He quickly planned in his head the fastest way of ending this fight. Utsuno Ikusagami raised his left hand, a lance of silver energy forming in his hands. Godzilla charged the silver warrior, who threw the lance with great force. The lance tore through Godzilla's chest like a hot knife through butter, the other tip punching out his back into the ground behind him. Godzilla was engulfed in a sea of flame. Utsuno Ikusagami ran forward before the flames could die down. Godzilla looked up only to have a fist slam in his face. Godzilla stumbled back before being backhanded, then kicked in the stomach. Utsuno Ikusagami was caught off guard when Godzilla headbutted him. Utsuno Ikusagami raised his fist again and punched only to have Godzilla grab his fist. What? He tried to punch with his other, but that one was blocked too. If I could speak that right. Godzilla looked at him, his eyes narrowed. Monster and god struggled in a contest of strength, trying to push each other away. To Utsuno Ikusagami's horror, he was losing. He was being pushed so far back, the ground sliding beneath his feet, that soon he was being pushed through the White House and out the other side. But he managed to stop by digging his feet deeper into the ground when suddenly Godzilla pushed forward and let go. Utsuno Ikusagami almost fell backwards when Godzilla grabbed him with both hands and lifted him high above before turning around and throwing him. Pass.
I can't believe Trump is fucking dead.
Well, technically, this was written in 2008, so technically it'd be Obama. So
Technically, it would be Obama.
Mr. Obama, get down.
No, wait, no.
Wait, yeah.
This is 112.
He didn't go to office.
Well, it'd still be Obama, but this will still be Obama. But
I was gonna say, did we kill Bush? Like which?
I think it's Bush.
Well, no, this came out like you said that.
2008, but Obama didn't get into office till 2009.
Yeah,
because November election.
But this is batch 112. This came out well after 2011.
Oh.
So Obama's still in office.
Okay, well, we can definitively say we've killed the 44th president of the United States. Okay?
There we go.
There, bam. Way to go.
Nothing killed a black man.
Way to go, Christian Zatkoff.
You racist son of a bitch.
In any case, the Divine Warrior slammed into the earth, remains of crushed buildings and dead bodies flying high into the sky. He got back up just in time to dodge the tail that had slammed into the spot where he was not more than a second ago. Godzilla roared in frustration, striking Utsuno Ikusagami with his claws. The Silver Warrior stumbled back but regained his balance and grabbed Godzilla, sending lightning-like energy through his touch, which burned and seared Godzilla's flesh. Godzilla was backing away, trying to free himself from the death grip, but the god refused to let up, sending still more juice into his charge. The smell of overcooked meat was filling the air, making Utsuno Ikusagami sick, but he still held on. Godzilla was foaming at the mouth, while shrieks of unbearable pain were heard from 4 miles. He was almost there. Just a little longer, and Utsuno Ikusagami would have killed the radioactive menace. Godzilla's arms were falling limp by his side, and it seemed victory was near when a bright flash of light blinded the Silver Warrior. The next thing he knew, he was on his back, the entire front aching and burning from a quickly released nuclear pulse. Godzilla roared as he rushed forward, stomping his feet onto the god repeatedly before turning to slam his tail into him. Godzilla lifted his tail and was about to slam it for a second time. Utsuno Ikusagami had to move fast. His back wings spun at high speeds, and he took off before the tail could hit the ground. The blades cut several of Godzilla's spines, even cutting 2 or 3 big ones off as he flew past. The blades cut into Godzilla's chest and neck, sparks, blood, bone, and flesh flying everywhere. Utsuno Ikusagami turned around, intending to cut up Godzilla some more on a second passing, when a stream of blue death hit him full on the face, knocking him clean out of the sky. Utsuno Ikusagami landed right on his feet and fired his medallion beam. Godzilla blocked the beam with his own. The beam clash was a stalemate. Godzilla poured more energy into his ray, the blue beam slowly pushing the orange beam, inching slowly toward Utsuno Ikusagami. The Yamato god couldn't believe his eyes. Godzilla could change the power level of his own beam! Utsuno Ikusagami poured more energy into his beam. Now it was inching closer to Godzilla before finally it slammed right into his mouth. The king of the monsters stumbled back before falling into the Washington Monument. The obelisk crushed under several thousand tons of flesh and bone. Utsuno Ikusagami held out his right hand and a giant sword appeared, the blade covered in divine energy and the banes of evil's existence. The nuclear menace charged forward when a second spear of light pierced his flesh. Utsuno Ikusagami ran forward, slashing the blades across Godzilla's chest. Blood rained down on the streets as Godzilla felt bone being cut as if it were nothing. Screaming could not describe the pain he felt, but it was the best he could do. He slashed his claws across the attacker's chest, sparks flying as the Divine Warrior staggered back before regaining his balance and stabbing Godzilla in the chest. The king of the monsters coughed up blood, then he pushed his attacker away. Utsuno Ikusagami was angry. He only got one of the lungs, but he was aiming for the heart. Godzilla rammed both of his fists into Utsuno Ikusagami. God, this name is going to get annoying fast.
Oh god, it's not a gyro situation.
Causing the warrior to stagger again. Godzilla rushed him once. Utsuno Ikusagami knew exactly what Godzilla was trying to do, and he would have no part of it. Godzilla slid before turning and swinging his tail, but Utsuno Ikusagami caught it. Using the monster's own momentum against him, he swung the beast by his tail and threw him. Miles above, something was about to happen. Something that would forever change the world's view of Godzilla. Someone overrode the satellite's program and started a countdown that was never meant to happen. A countdown that will change the tide of the battle many miles below. Pass.
All right.
Who was it?
Joe, you're up.
Oh, okay.
You take 5.
Godzilla held his head high up. Utsuno Ikusagami knew what Godzilla was planning and got ready to fire his beam. But something troubled him. The spines were glowing red instead of blue like they had been. Utsuno Ikusagami fired his beam. It happened in less than a fraction of a second, but when the beam was mere inches away from Godzilla's face, it stopped when he opened his mouth and let loose his spiral ray. Utsuno Ikusagami was shocked. Unlike the blue atomic rays of before, this one was strong enough to stop his beam. No, worse, as it was actually pushing his beam slowly back at him. This new ray was slightly stronger than his ray, and that made Utsuno Ikusagami feel something the gods rarely, if ever, felt. Fear. I almost said hunger. Utsuno Ikusagami's beam was shoved back to his medallion. He staggered back, his feet sliding along the ground as he was pushed back by the great force of the spiral ray before falling on his back. The pain was nothing like any he had felt before. When Godzilla ended his attack, the Yamato god got back to his feet and was shocked to see the outer layer of his holy armor was melting. Big drops rolling down and dripping down the front like melted candle wax. How? How could this thing, this mistake, be able to harm his divine armor? How had the humans so easily made something that is so hard to kill? Orochi didn't give him this much trouble, and he was said to be the most evil thing in this world. So why was this one so hard to kill? Utsuno Ikusagami put up a banner as Godzilla fired his spiral ray again. Utsuno Ikusagami was thankful that the beam was blocked by his barrier. Godzilla stopped and tilted his head as if trying to think of what to do next. He didn't get a chance to plan his next move before the Silver Warrior ceased using his energy barrier and ran forward, his sword held up high up with his right hand. Godzilla was too low on energy to use any more spiral rays, so he fired his normal atomic ray. Utsuno Ikusagami ignored it as he ran through it, and with unfathomable might, swung the sword sideways, ready to cut off Godzilla's head. There was a loud clang, but nothing happened. No spray of blood filled the air, no thud of a large body hitting the ground. Utsuno Ikusagami saw why. Godzilla had the sword locked in a death grip with his teeth. Utsuno Ikusagami generated another spear and thrust it right into the monster's chest. Godzilla howled out. The sword freed from his jaws. Utsuno Ikusagami backed up. Godzilla swung his tail, but Utsuno Ikusagami jumped over it. Godzilla looked up just in time to see him falling with his sword pointed at a downward angle. Godzilla's heart was pierced by the sword. His arms went limp, his eyes became dull, and his body slouched forward. Utsuno Ikusagami pulled the sword out and kicked Godzilla's body to the ground. He had done what was said to be impossible. He had killed the so-called Monster King. Winner, Utsuno Ikusagami.
Again.
Just one more.
Yeah, just one more.
Okay. He was getting ready to fire his medallion beam and destroy Godzilla's remains when he heard a loud whoosh. Before he could even react, a large missile shot down between them and slammed into the ground. Suddenly, there was a bright flash of intense light, heat, and noise. It was like standing on the sun. Despite the blinding light, Utsuno Ikusagami could still see Godzilla's body. Could see wounds closing up before he blacked out. When he came to, everything was leveled. Nothing was left standing. What happened? How long could he be knocked out? Hours? A minute? A few seconds? Utsuno Ikusagami could only guess that a nuclear weapon was fired off in the city. He knew that mankind would have to be very desperate to use it anywhere, let alone on one of their own cities. It would have be a very big emergency, such as a biohazardous outbreak, for one to be used in such a location. He guessed Godzilla was one of those emergencies. Pass.
Alright, Nagoda, your turn. You get 5.
I get 5, right?
Yes.
Okay. But was it meant to be fired, or had a mistake been made? Either way, when he got back to the UNGCC, in his human form, he was going to have some strong words with whoever ordered that launch. He was no expert on nuclear weapons, and Godzilla even less so, but even he knew that the monster fed off of radiation. Some people had theories, or perhaps hope, that if Godzilla was in the heart of the blast, then perhaps he might be vaporized for getting a chance to feed off the energy and grow stronger. But no one had done it for fear of the risk of him not being killed, not to mention the countless lives lost as he used in the city. It seemed someone was willing to take that risk. Utsuno Ikusagami knew he wouldn't find Godzilla even as he turned to stare at the spot where he had been. At least, he thought it was the right spot. He wasn't sure. The blast had changed the landscape, as well as destroyed anything that would make knowing where he was standing easier to know. Had Godzilla been vaporized? He doubted it, since he was still standing. There was some admittedly intense burn marks that stained his once pure white armor ash black. Granted, he was a god after all. But then again, Godzilla was putting up a pretty good fight against a god, considering he was nothing more than just a mutant mistake. He was far stronger than what Utsuno Ikusagami had originally thought. By the way, if the president didn't die by 2 monsters going through the White House, I'm pretty sure this nuke finished him off.
Oh yeah, definitely. Insert your own president here.
And this is where the show Designated Survivor picks up.
What if Obama becomes a giant monster?
So you're saying
We'll
he's
have
gonna
Obama
be
versus Godzilla.
Yeah, here's what happened. Ikusagami and Godzilla crash through the White House. Obama dies, but then the nuke brings it back to life as a giant monster.
We are so getting rated by the CIA
Yeah,
later
we
today.
are.
I'm just-
Anyway.
And this is our loophole to get Obama in the KUC.
No, the CIA would only be.
He
on
would
us
win
if it was
every
Trump.
debate. He would win every debate he versed against Godzilla. I'm just saying. Debate match.
Let's turn him into a
Bam.
titan. Here you go. I mean, technically, you could just turn him into a titan.
Hey. Anyway.
Anyways, no, he knew Godzilla had somehow survived that blast. Or rather, been brought back from his recent death by all that nuclear energy. As if to confirm his thoughts, Godzilla roared an angry challenge for their rematch. So technically he should have lost, but nukes. Utsuno Ikusagami turned around just as another red spiral ray slammed into him. The Silver Warrior stood up and stared at Godzilla. His heart dropped into his stomach at what he just saw. Godzilla had changed. His eyes, spines, and large patches of his skin gave off smoke and glowed a reddish orange. Godzilla was in meltdown mode again. The foolish mortals! They sought to destroy Godzilla, but instead they guaranteed that the monster would win this fight. And after he had already beaten him too, Utsuno Ikusagami stared at Godzilla more closely and saw that there were new wounds that had not been caused by him. It seemed that while his wounds had healed fast enough to not let him be vaporized, they didn't heal fast enough to keep up with all the burns. Godzilla may have been recharged, but now he had new injuries because of the blast. Maybe Utsuno Ikusagami could still win this fight after all. Utsuno Ikusagami fired another beam at Godzilla's face, distracting him long enough for the Yamato god to run up and grab the beast's neck. Zapping him with his holy energies and stabbing Godzilla in the chest with his sword. He missed his mark by mere inches. Godzilla's heart was still beating with life. Godzilla slashed at his attacker, trying to fend him off. Utsuno Ikusagami held on, ignoring the heat until it became too much and let go. He kicked Godzilla away as he drew the sword back, steam rising from the blood on the blade. Utsuno Ikusagami needed to kill Godzilla, again, even faster, because the longer the fight went on, the hotter the reptile's body would become. He was already badly damaged just from being too close to the monster, let alone touching him. Utsuno Ikusagami was backing away when Godzilla's tail swiped under his feet, causing the mighty being to fall face forward. Godzilla fired his heat ray, sending the warrior flying in the opposite direction.
Oh yeah, Nagoda. Real quick, just
Yeah?
one more paragraph after this.
One more?
Yeah, just this
Okay.
one. This next one.
Okay. Utsuno Ikusagami tried to get up, but Godzilla was already upon him. Utsuno Ikusagami acted fast, punching Godzilla in the groin, causing the beast to shriek and stagger backwards until the god returned to his feet.
Oh my gosh. Is this like... Wow, Okay. I mean, I get the image it's going for, but of all places... This is the second match we've had where someone got hit in the groin.
This is a Christian Zatkov match. I mean,
Okay, is there... Okay.
like he does have. This is a staple of one of his like writing.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised he didn't give either one big tits.
Oh, jeez. Anyway.
That's for another version. That's the triple X version of this
Okay,
match.
yeah.
Oh,
That's still in the
yes.
works.
Exactly.
Okay. Utsuno Ikusagami was planning his next move when Godzilla recovered and bit down on Utsuno Ikusagami's shoulder. Now the roles were reversed as Utsuno Ikusagami tried to dislodge the mutant dinosaur, but Godzilla would not be denied. His teeth bit harder. Apparently his teeth can bite now. The heat was so great that it helped the teeth get deeper in, past the armor, and into Utsuno Ikusagami's flesh. There's a lot. Can he not use other words?
no.
Utsuno Ikusagami was about to zap
See, I'm
Godzilla
not the only
with his
one.
spines.
I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
Pretty sure everyone hates that name.
So fucking
It's
hard to
like-
spell.
It's like saying Orga over and over again.
Except
Or
Orga's
Gyra.
at
Yeah,
least short.
I have my thoughts, but we'll save that for after we're done.
Orga? Don't you mean orgasm?
Anyway.
Utsuno Ikusagami was about to zap Godzilla when his spines flashed, and before he knew it, Godzilla was firing his ray while still chomped down on the god. Utsuno Ikusagami zapped Godzilla with his energy, but Godzilla refused to let go, still biting down, still firing his death ray. Utsuno Ikusagami fired his medallion beam at point blank. Godzilla was forced off his feet and let go. Pass. That's still a lot of Utsuno Ikusagami.
Yeah. Okay, my turn?
Yes, your turn. 4.
4, alright. But he still fired his beam, which connected with Utsuno Ikusagami and caused a massive explosion. The silver god almost fell as he staggered back, but the Yamato god quickly recovered and ran forward before the smoke could clear, wanting to attack before Godzilla could get up. He learned the hard way that he already was. As he ran into the smoke, he was slapped across the face by a powerful tail. Stunned, Utsuno Ikusagami just stood there as Godzilla punched him, first with his right fist, then the left, then kicked him down. Godzilla bent down and lifted Utsuno Ikusagami high above, spinning him around before throwing him high into the air. Utsuno Ikusagami was falling when suddenly Godzilla lunged forward and swiped his claws, sending the Yamato god flying far away. The deity collided with the earth, sending dust and debris from the nuclear explosion flying. Despite the pain, Utsuno Ikusagami quickly got up and threw in a spear of energy, but Godzilla blocked it with his heat ray. Utsuno Ikusagami summoned another energy spear, this time planning on throwing both his sword and the spear while blocking the beam with his own. He fired his energy attack and threw both holy weapons. To his utter horror, however, Godzilla's death beam expanded to such a size that it engulfed the holy beam, energy spear, and divine sword. It didn't stop there. As the beam grew bigger, it engulfed Utsuno Ikusagami as well. A massive blast was seen, heard, felt for miles around, one that rivaled the earlier nuclear warhead. Utsuno Ikusagami could not believe the pain he was in. He stood up and saw his armor was melting. His sword had been damaged almost beyond recognition. The blade was gone, melted down to a dull hilt. He was really going to stay and continue the fight. Utsuno Ikusagami decided that, for now, retreat would be the better option. He had enough trouble trying to kill Godzilla in his normal form, but his burning form was going to be something else altogether. If Godzilla wasn't a super monster before, he was now. In this state, there was no way Ikusagami could win. It would have to finish this fight another day after recovering from his injuries. But first things first, he needed to recover his sword and distract Godzilla, long enough for his escape. Utsuno Ikusagami flew forward and grappled with Godzilla. The two slid across the ground, neither one gaining the advantage. Godzilla would change that. He rammed his head forward, causing Nagoda to lose his balance and fall down. Godzilla held him down with one hand while pummeling him with the other. Finally, the beast opened his mouth, ready to fire another blast, ready to kill this thing. Whatever it was, once and for all. He didn't know who or what it was, and he didn't care. All he knew was that he would never find peace in this hostile world as long as it lived. He could sense it already planning to escape and kill him when they meet again. His instincts told him to kill it now, while it was still hurt. Pass?
Yes. Alex, take it away.
Oh boy. And pass.
Gosh darn it.
Utsuno panicked, his hands roaming around his crazed state, trying to dislodge the beast. When his hand felt something out of the corner of his eyes, he saw what he needed, the hilt of his once mighty sword. The blade was mostly gone except for a jagged little piece of metal sticking out of where the hilt ended. He brought his arm up and slashed the broken sword across Godzilla's face. Godzilla shrieked as he was blinded, blood pouring out of the crimson tears. Utsuno fired his beam again, knocking Godzilla off him. He stopped for only a moment, thinking if he should run or stay and fight. Quickly deduced that Godzilla was still too powerful, even without his eyes. Godzilla's other senses were still too strong enough to know where he was. Ikusagami took to the sky, barely dodging another death ray from Anguirus, who either smelled him or heard him escaping. By the time his eyes healed, Rodan saw that Ikusagami was too far away to chase, already a dot in the distant sky. Ultraman had flown for nearly 30 minutes before he felt he was too far away for Gorsaurus to shoot him down. He looked down at the broken sword in his hand. Before today, he would have never thought it could be damaged, let alone destroyed. He had hoped it could be fixed, but before today, he used to scoff at the rumors that Godzilla could not be killed forever by man, machine, monster, alien, or god. That he was a monster to monsters, now he believed them. He also guilty of the anger he felt for the mortals who foolish brought Baragon into this world and had caused suffering and death for countless, both the innocent and the wicked. Guilty for how he felt sorrow for Baron and his mutant brethren, knowing they were just as much victims of the atomic age as the mortals Jesus Christ were victims of their attacks. He now fully understood why Kamong was so powerful, why this mistake existed in the first place, and what he stood for. He heard the word symbolism that was all. If life was such, then Manda would represent war. The beast was made by a nuclear weapon by some. As one man will never be. Fighting Shrek is fighting war, and as long as there are people, there will be mistakes. For fuck's sake, such as nuclear weapons, and as long as these things. So would Gomer, I guess. Man had opened Pandora's box and it could not be closed. Zone Fighter was about to leave when twin purple streams of deadly energy hit him in the back. For fuck's sakes. He looked over and saw Keller. He was Earth's own little fallen guardian. The Gigamoth roared. Mission was what? I thought Batro's boy. Yeah, Batro's a boy.
Yeah, Batra's...
Wait, Patra's a boy?
Yeah, but it said her mission.
Wait.
To be fair, this is the Black Mothra. She could be whatever she wants to be.
Oh, crud, yeah, you're right.
Well, I thought you could like change or interchange whichever one you want.
It depends on the monster. Not Batra's been addressed as female before, I think. I have to read back up on it. That is a weird change, though. That is a...
To the world or any unnatural being that might upset the balance, as far as she was concerned, gods only belonged to the sky or the underworld. They had no place on the earth's surface. See, since he was a god on the surface, Green Man was an unnatural being. Golden Man glared at Batra as he was charged for ignorant insect. Did it not know who he was, what he was? If not for the gods, there would be no planet Mars for it to protect in the first place.
I'm the juggernaut, bitch.
Kamacuris was a fallen guardian. She still fulfilled her mission, yet had been blinded by the end goal beyond reason. Bug should have been destroyed the moment she became corrupted. Spectreman charged forward. This was one mistake he would not feel guilty putting down. Many miles away, computer engineers were trying to find out who had fired the nuclear warhead at Washington, D.C. when someone hacked their computers and every screen began displaying the same image, one that hasn't been seen since the 1960s. When Godzilla destroyed their base of operations, or so it seemed, everyone was shocked. Many miles in space, the satellite had fired the nuke featured the same logo that was now appearing on the computers. A Ram Bamboo Glue. Winner, female Batra.
Female Batra, gosh darn it.
Winner Godzilla.
Yeah.
No.
Anyway, yeah, I have... There are elements of this match that I like. I mean, for one, a Godzilla vs. Ikusagami is a cool idea for a matchup. I do like that. It does some things fine. I kind of like some of the description of, like, you know, when Godzilla starts busting out the spiral ray, it's like, oh, you know, it's really hurting him. I like some of the description of that, how it, like, melts his armor. It's like, that's good stuff. I think the nuke is actually a decent, like, you know, you kind of get a little bit of it at the beginning, a little bit in the middle. Like, you know, it's all kind of quiet. It's like, what's going on here? Then you reveal at the end, then it's revealed at the end that it's like, oh, it's the red bamboo responsible for all this. That's good stuff. But I feel like there are just some areas where the writing feels a little weak. Like, yeah, clearly an older Christian match. Christian Zakdoff, aka Living Corpse. Older Living Corpse match to better distinguish him from Christian Salibert. Anyway. But, yeah, it's like, this is a decent... it's hard for me to say. It's decent, but maybe a little underwhelming for me. I don't know. Yeah, something just didn't quite hit right. Maybe it was just the way it was paced. Could have been trimmed down a little bit, if I had to be frank. Or, I think, like, one of my criticisms I'm going to make note of is the overabundance of Utsuno Ikusagami, like, the name.
Oh, definitely.
I think, like, I understand going back just using the name. That's fine. But I think you could have just shortened it to just Utsuno or Ikusagami. Like what Alex did when he was reading it. Like, he kind of cut it down to just Utsuno or Ikusagami before he started replacing it with other monsters. But, yeah. Like, yeah, that... You should have done that and only saved Utsuno Ikusagami's full name for just once in a while. You didn't need to constantly reuse it. And that became really kind of annoying to read. Other than that, it's... Yeah, there are just some details that feel a little repeated, like Death Ray kind of grew stale after its second use for Godzilla's atomic beam. Friggin', I don't know, there was just some description aspects that kind of hinder rather than make it memorable. So it didn't particularly grab me, but I still like the overarching, like, I guess, story that transpires. I feel like Batra was really unnecessary unless they had a follow-up that was planned, which, yeah, that happens all the time, don't get me wrong. But, yeah, I think, like, Batra was kind of unneeded here. Mm-hmm. So, unless there was a follow-up I'm not aware of. But, anyway.
Yeah, so I guess for my thoughts, I guess I had a little bit of a better impression of this match, minus the repetition of Utsuno Ikusagami and me failing at words. I actually think the battle for this is pretty top tier. Christian always does a great job when it comes to his choreography for his fights. So whether it be, the groin punch, or the awesome idea of like Utsuno, like one of the things I remember most about this match is like Utsuno like realizing, oh, Godzilla can fluctuate his beam, like he can like legit control that power. Like him getting like very much him coming into the fight like arrogant and leaving humble was a very nice like. It's not a direct arc, but it's a nice little background.
Okay, yeah, I see what you mean.
That I enjoyed. Also, the Red Bamboo using the nuke and Godzilla getting that power up and Utsuno getting overwhelmed, also pretty awesome. I overall think that if you're here just for the action, this is pretty top tier, especially if you like seeing Utsuno Ikusagami lose. Because more than often than not, a lot of people like having him come down just over and being the one-punch man of overwhelming monsters, be it the Terror Beasts or Gamines. While they're cool stories, I actually do like it when he does face a monster that can challenge him. And Godzilla, at first, kind of not, but once he actually gets serious, using the Spiral Heat Ray, and then when he goes burning, actually putting up a hell of a challenge, is a nice change of pace to what is usually an. I know this is what like his earliest appearance, but it's a nice change of pace for a quote unquote very like godly monster.
Yeah, totally.
So I enjoyed it. I will agree the ending thing with the Red Bamboo for a match that never happens is kind of disappointing, and Batra showing up for what is at best a cameo and at best better hammering that theme was okay. So overall, I'd say this was a really good. It's short of a great match, but it's just a really, really good one for me. Minor notes aside, with like the repetition of like Utsuno and like minor like things here and there.
Mm-hmm. All right, yeah, fair enough. We'll go down the list. Alex, what'd you think of it?
Well, to quote the comic book guy from Godzilla Guy again, I think it stinks.
I think that was his editor that said that.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, well, it stinks. It's boring, and the repetition was god awful. Killed any excitement I had, if I had any.
The question is, did you?
No.
Okay, yeah, that explains everything.
And cue everyone getting pissed off because I don't like their favorite KWCs.
Nagoda, what'd you think of the match?
It was pretty good. Like Greyshot said, I like how Utsuno Ikusagami came in like arrogant, like I'm a god. These humans are just stupid. Why can't they kill this thing themselves? And then leaving, realizing, oh, this thing is too strong for me right now. Also, what's it called? Like you said earlier, I feel like he could have used a lot of other like adjectives and words to describe the monsters instead of using the name over and over again.
Or just shortening the name to just like
or just shortening it down. Also, the banner's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it for me.
Alright, Ditto, what'd you think of the match?
I thought it was pretty cool. Like, it was a fun match to imagine in your head. Action was pretty solid. I agree, Batra. Really didn't need Batra. The Red Bamboo thing is interesting, but a follow-up match never happened, so we don't know what they're going to do. But other than that, I think it was solid. Again, yeah, the Utsuno repetition kind of like drags it down a bit, but other than that, it was pretty cool. And the band was pretty neat, seeing them like fight above the White House or something. Can't believe Obama's dead.
And to think he saved his life was just saved by Buzz.
Let's see Buzz saved from this.
You guys will get that reference eventually, or it'll probably already be out by the time this is uploaded. So
It'll definitely be out.
okay, fair enough. Anyway, Joe, what'd you think of the match?
I'm kind of mixed on it. I think the action is cool, and like Greyshot said, it's well choreographed. But the repetition of names really brings it down for me. It just gets annoying seeing that long ass name repeated over and over.
Mm-hmm.
But pretty much what everyone else said. Both good and bad.
All right. So, and I'll also makes a comment that the banner is decent. Nothing too standout, nothing too crazy, but decent. It's really the best I could say for that. But you know, nothing wrong with simplicity. At the end of the day.
Utsuno Ikusagami's sword looks like a lightning bolt. Or a glow stick.
Yeah, well, it's basically a big lightsaber.
It looks kind of wobbly zooming in.
Hey, got posted.
Shh. They're not supposed to know that, despite the fact that this will be uploaded much later. Anyway, so with that said, this has been match 112, and we'll see you guys next time for match 113. Take care, everyone.
Later.
Bye.
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 Goodbye. Farewell.
Avita say adieu to you.